Hello, welcome everyone to another FPL video. My name is Mo, and today what I'll be going through is the player watch list for game week 5. So what I've done is identified a few players that I'm looking to probably draft in or bring into my squad over the next couple of game weeks. Some I've made a decision on already, some I'm looking at in the short term or maybe the medium to long term. So I've highlighted a few players. So as I said, after game week 3 and 4, we'll always have a reaction. So players will do well, some players won't do well in your squad, and you'll have an automatic reaction or a knee-jerk reaction to your players. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at some players that I've identified and I'll be looking to bring into my squad, and some players that potentially I would say that for now, maybe short term, it's probably preferably good to avoid, or think long term and bring them in at a later date due to fixture swings and other alternative methods that we use to calculate the strength of a player's availability and selection in our FPL squad. But before we get into all that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. So as you guys can see on screen, you have my team current performance. So we still have the game tonight to go for Everton versus Burnley, so I've still got 2 players to go, but let's get stuck in to the players to target for the next game week. So at number 1, it's Edouard. So Edouard's been signed by Crystal Palace this summer in the transfer window. What a start. 26 seconds, guys, before he made an impact. I was actually listening to the Manchester United game on the radio, and he actually the broadcast came on that he's coming on, and whilst they were actually announcing it on the radio, he scored. What an instant impact, right? I think it's the fastest goal by a Premier League debut coming onto the pitch. So fantastic start. Not only did he finish there, he scored another one, and this wasn't against any of the team, guys. It was Spurs, who had one of the best records, top of the league in terms of defensive as well, record that they had this season. So it shows he's got potential, and with, Patrick Vieira and, Zaha in the squad, Milivojevic and other great talent players in Palace, maybe this might be like a hidden gem or the diamond in the rough. We never know, but I've seen a lot of positive things from him. I heard a lot of positive things around him, and we're just going to discuss a few things around, XG, XA, and some stats and what I think you should be looking at. But I'm looking at him personally, 6.5 mil, a great third alternative. I know I've got 3 strikers at the moment, but if he catches form, let's have a look at some of his fixtures he's got coming up. Liverpool away, next game at Anfield, so it's worth watching. So I might just watch him to see how he goes there. Then game week 6 is Brighton. Now that might not be a bad shout considering if he catches a bit of form against Liverpool. Let's have a look. Then they've got Leicester at home for game week 7 and Arsenal for game week 8. So a few tough fixtures for Crystal Palace. Let's just wait and see how he performs. At the moment, he's owned by, at the time of recording, guys, these stats are, he's owned by 1.9% of managers. 12 points in the first game week, and points per match, which is one of my favourite stats. It's 12 points per match, obviously, because he's only played 1. Let's look at some XG and XA facts. So XG, with 2 goals, he's 0.62, and he's got nothing in terms of expected assists because he hasn't got one at the moment. So Edouard is someone that I'm looking at closely. Will I bring him in for this game week? Probably not. But if he does perform, he may be someone I might target when the fixtures get better. And I think he might be worthwhile having for a bit more of a longer run. The next player, as we discussed in our previous game weeks as well, is Nelson Semedo. So Semedo had a really good game against Brighton in the play this weekend, but in terms of his chances, he didn't take his chances really well at all. He had like 2 great chances. Marcel, if that's how you pronounce it, he played extremely well. He got 2 assists. But this guy shows some real promise and talent. 4.9 mil, guys. So he's a really good budget option, and they've got some really good fixtures coming up. So we can see Brentford at home for this game week, Southampton away, Newcastle at home, and Aston Villa away. At the moment, I don't see any need to change any of my defenders, but I'm watching him closely. I may even think of getting rid of Reguilon potentially for him, but I have the funds already, so I might give it another game week because I'm pretty tempted to use that transfer, as I mentioned already. I've used it on Bamford because of Antonio's suspension, but him I'm looking at very closely in terms of Semedo at the moment. So we go through some underlying stats. He's already got 10 points from 3 games, 3.33 points per game. He could have had a lot more if he converted his chances. And in terms of expected goals and assists, he's got none so far this season, but 0.86 for XG, and XA is 0.21. So for me, Wolves assets will be good. You've got Nelson Semedo, who I've got on here, and obviously people are looking at Markel as well, maybe Cody, Adama Traore, Jimenez. So there's a lot of players to look from Wolves, but this guy has certainly caught my eye, and if you can just kind of resolve his kind of finishing ability and scoring and setting up goals, could be very, very fruitful in the coming weeks. Now, we're going back to a true hero who's been forgotten, is Kevin De Bruyne. Now, about 2 years ago, you probably couldn't have even thought about making a draft without Kevin De Bruyne in your squad. He's been injured. He's had a price drop to 11.9 mil. Started off at 12 mil this season. Is he going to be on penalties for Man City when he comes back? I think so. Is he going to feature in the Champions League midweek? I think he will, because he's on the bench midweek. On the weekend for midweek, I reckon, to be ready for us to be playing. They've got Southampton at home. I think he's pretty much nailed on for a start, but you can never say that with Man City. But Kevin De Bruyne is one of the most trusted players that Guardiola has. So for me, I think he will feature against Southampton at home. He's pretty much back to full fitness. And let's look at some underlying stats. He's only owned by 1.3% of managers. So if you're looking to go differential, Mane's an option, De Bruyne as well. Obviously, Bruno's going to be pretty much highly owned compared to those two. But De Bruyne's not a bad shot if you're looking at someone at that price range. And if he's taking penalties within 12 mil budget, he might be a better option than Bruno and Mane. Just a thought. But with the fixtures coming up after Southampton, they've got Chelsea and Liverpool respectively, both the away fixtures, and then they've got Burnley at home. So you can never really count out any Man City assets, but especially against those two big teams, if they are going to score, most likely it will probably come through Kevin De Bruyne if he's on the pitch. So that's why, I've included him in this players to watch, because I will be watching him closely, because obviously this season is all about premiums and getting him in at the right time. So if he hits a bit of form, maybe, even in the Chelsea game or the Liverpool game, I might bring him in for the Burnley home game. And if he hits some form midweek this week, there could be, a chance I could look to potentially get him in for this game week. So there's a lot to look forward to in terms of Kevin De Bruyne. I just think maybe he's been overlooked slightly. He's only got 1 point so far this season for the game he played, which was the first game week. So not much stats around his XG and XA. So I think it's like 0.02 for expected goals and 0.01 for expected assists. But De Bruyne, guys, in the coming weeks, he will hit a form. He will hit a spell where he has some good fixtures, and we will be looking to bring him in at some point or another. But I'm watching him at the moment. Potentially, he could be coming in very, very soon. Now, we have Rafinha. So, a disappointment so far, to be brutally honest. 1 goal so far this season, 6.5 mil. But one thing that's going in his favour now for Leeds, there's no excuses. They've had their tough start against Manchester United, Liverpool. They've had the tough start. No excuses now. Everton as well, they've played. There's no excuses now. Look at those fixtures. Newcastle away. They're at St James's Park, or Sports Direct Arena, whatever they call it now. I expect them to get some goals there. Defensively, they have to improve. But Rafinha should be kind of like the main person it comes through. Had some glorious chances against Liverpool, but just didn't take them. They got West Ham after that at home, at Elland Road. Watford at home in the Southampton away. So some good fixtures to take advantage of. He's in my squad. I'm going to back him for now. 15.2% ownership. 12 points so far, 3 points per game. And he's got 1 goal with expected goals at 0.82. And expected assists, which he's got no assists so far, is 0.51. So it looks like a good pick from Leeds if you're looking to double up. I wouldn't say triple up personally, because I wouldn't want any defensive assets. Well, I'd personally say Rafinha and Bamford look a good combination. So potentially there should be some points to be had, hopefully against Newcastle for him, because defensively they have looked quite weak. And this is a great chance for him to really kind of find some form and bring Leeds back into some kind of winning ways and winning mentality for this season. And then, of course, obviously everyone's talking about Ronaldo. So do you know what? I thought, let's not start this video off with the big hits. Let's talk about some of the players that I was looking at. Ronaldo's in my squad at the moment, and he's not going anywhere for the time being. Captaincy, I am debating between him and Salah for this game week. Salah has the better fixture. Manchester United against West Ham. I'm a United fan personally, and it's been a bogey team for us. Not to say he's not going to get anything for us, but it's been a difficult ground for us to go and beat them. They've beat them at Old Trafford quite frequently as well. Not to forget that whole Carlos Tevez and Mascherano keeping West Ham up in 2006. So I might be tempted to put the armband for this week on Salah, but I'm yet to decide who I'm going to go for. But what a start for Ronaldo, right? 12.5 mil. His ownership was around 19%. He's gone up to 36.1%, guys, at the time of recording. 13 points in the first game, so 13 points per game. He got no assists, so his expected goal is only 0.02. But with the 2 goals, his expected goals is a mammoth 1.42, which is really good, guys. He was there where he needed to be. He was there to pounce on the loose ball. This is what Manchester United needed, and he's definitely put his hat in the ring to say, look, I'm going for that Golden Boot. Harry Kane, Lukaku, Salah, all you guys beware. Ronaldo is here and he means business. And that's something really to look forward to. Again, West Ham, without Antonio, how will they play? That's going to be worth looking into. They've got Aston Villa at home after that. They've got a good record against Aston Villa. Everton at home, then Rafa Benitez. I think it should be a good game. It looks red on the difficulty fixture, but I think this should be a manageable game for United. Then Leicester, which will be a tough game away for them, which is going to be a tough game for Manchester United in general. For me, they play really well against big sides, and Brendan Rodgers really has a good plan against them, so it's worthwhile checking out. But Ronaldo, if you haven't got him in, guys, if you're one of those 30, none of those 36%, I was going to say, if you're one of those 64% of managers who don't have him in, I think it's maybe time you reconsider your strategy and look to get him in. You might be looking at the fixtures and being put off by them, but he's that good, guys. You can't overlook this guy. And next, obviously, if we're talking about Ronaldo, we have to talk about Mo Salah. Mo Salah only got one goal this weekend, so only one return. So if you were captaining him, you kind of did miss out a bit over Ronaldo or Lukaku if you had them in your squads. But it wasn't that devastating. I know it was the last game on Sunday and you had to wait a while. But he's not done too bad, to be fair. It's just a shame he could have done a bit more. If Jota had been a bit more clinical with his finishing and Mane had been less selfish with his goal attempts, it probably could have been more fruitful for Salah. But let's have a look at his fixtures. Look at the greenery you have there. Barring Man City in game week 7, I'm not taking him anywhere. So him and Alexander-Arnold are staying in my squad along with Jota. Palace at home. Yes, they won 3-0 against Tottenham, which is a really good result. And by the way, I forgot to mention, Patrick Vieira has never lost to Spurs, whether it's a manager now or as a player. So what a record, eh? But Crystal Palace, I reckon that's going to be a good game for them. Best captaincy option for me. Bit of a tongue twister there for this game week. That's what happens when you do it in one take, guys. And Brentford away, good game as well. It's difficult. It's going to be a away game, but I think it should be manageable. And then Watford in game week 8. So some really good fixtures coming up. So good captaincy options. And let's look at some of his stats. So 54.1% of managers own him at the moment. 38 points respectively for 4 games. 9.5 points per game. Let's go through some stats. So expected assists. 2 so far he's had this season and 1.46. He's had 3 goals with expected goals at 2.79, which is ridiculous, honestly. How you can go through, what I would like to know the rationale of those 46% of managers or how they're going without Salah, especially with these fixtures. But hey, some people make those choices. There's a lot of premiums to pick from, so it's pretty much understandable. With those fixtures runs coming up, he's a really good option, especially with captaincy as well. So if you haven't got him in and this has convinced you, I think I've done a good job. And how can we forget Lukaku? What a performance, guys. He had 2 shots on the game and he scored 2 of them. What a great performance against Aston Villa. Aston Villa were unlucky not to get a goal. They did play well. Mendy was on a mad one that day, to be perfectly honest. Let's look at their fixtures. So 2 difficult games. Now, that doesn't mean Lukaku can't play well against these guys. But if I was wildcarding or if I was looking to make any transfers this week, would I look to get Lukaku in those 2 fixtures? Probably not. I'd look elsewhere, maybe at Salah or Ronaldo. Even Mane, because they're playing better fixtures. But Lukaku, I don't know. Am I saying to overlook him? At the moment, he's worth 11.6 mil, so he's gone up in price. 25.7% of managers own him, respectively 23 points so far from 3 games. That's 7.66 points per game. No assists, but expected assists are 0.72. 3 goals, impressively, and 2.53 is his expected goals, guys. So he's expected to score. I think he can get a goal or 2 in those 2 games. But it's just, how they're going to line up against him. Will they have a plan? The bigger teams, the stronger teams have plans against the bigger players. So we were seeing how Lukaku fares against them on a level. But never take anything away from Chelsea. They'll come with a plan. And Lukaku definitely is going to be what they're going to be playing through. And of course, we're going to talk about 2 forgotten heroes today. So Sadio Mane, at the moment, he had a good game. I think he's probably might be being a bit overlooked, but it's just the price. The price is too much for me. 11.9 mil, not on penalties, a bit too much. Owned by 2.7% of managers. A lot of managers at this time are looking to double up because of the fixtures of Liverpool, as I've shown you already. But let's just see. He's got 24 points, respectively 6 points per game in the 4 games he's played. 1 assist, with expected assists at 0.72 and 3.52 is expected goals with 2 goals he scored so far. By the way, if I keep looking this way, I've got another screen which has all my stats on, that's why. And I'm looking directly into the camera here. So we've got Mane, again, looking well. I would not be surprised if he looked to double up upon him because of his fixtures, and he's played well so far. Not to the credit of the 12 mil price, but I think it's understandable if you do double up on Liverpool. And of course, Bruno Fernandes. Whatever Ronaldo can do, he's there to score the tap-ins, but he's there to score the worldies. That was his announcement to Ronaldo. If you're here, boss, I'm back. I'm right behind you. Look back, it's Fernandes behind you, all right? So 12 mil in price, 38.7% of managers still own him, 31 points, respectively, with 7.75 points per game. In terms of expected assists, he's got no assists this season, but 1.32, and he's got 4 goals and 1.13 is his expected goals. So some good fixtures coming up with obviously West Ham, Everton, Aston Villa to play in the next coming game weeks, with Leicester as well. So Fernandes might be a good option to double up on Manchester United, or even triple up if you've got Shaw in your defence, or any of the other Manchester United defenders, or Greenwood in your squad. So those are the kind of 2 players I'm looking at who are potentially might be being overlooked or might not be